Well, we finally got to watch some football this Saturday, and we are now 1 day away from game week for the Huskers taking on UTEP this coming Saturday. Now, with that being said, it's going to transition over to preparation for game week starting next week. So, I wanted to take this last opportunity here to really give a deep dive on a player that I think is going to be better than a lot of people even expect, even though the expectations are very high for him as is. And that player is Jahmal Banks. So, what I want to do today is give you my bold prediction, as you've probably already seen in the title, why I think he will be a top 10 to 15 wide receiver in all of college football. I got some numbers, I got a lot of stats to break down for y'all. So, stay tuned, and hopefully, this will help you be a little bit more bullish on Jahmal Banks, just like I am. And first things first, though, my name is Justin Adams. I'm a content creator here at Nebraska Football at the Voice of College Football. You see my name and my Twitter handle down there. If you want to go follow me on X, go ahead and give me a follow. I'm about 950 subscribers, close to 1,000. So if y'all want to give me a follow, that'd be super helpful. Subscribe, like, comment. Let me know what you think on Jahmal Banks, and let's just dive right. All right. So I want to start just kind of telling you his athletic background, starting in high school. So in high school, he was a athlete, dual sport athlete, played basketball and football, but not only that, played them both at a high level. So whenever he was in high school, he played both sides of the ball, was a dominant receiver for the number 4 ranked team in the nation at that time. They were 44-3 in his 4 years there, 11-1 in 2019. So he was first team all conference in football. Had a touchdown against IMG Academy. You know, we all know IMG Academy and their prowess in high school ranks. And then also had a return kick for a touchdown, 91 tackles, 36 TFLs, 9 sacks. And he was the team MVP in basketball, also on a top 10 national team. So put that in perspective, just his athleticism, that shows why he has gained this ability to be able to use his body and use his athleticism to his advantage throughout his career, which is another reason why he is one of the best at high pointing the ball, which I'm going to give you a number on in just a little bit to show you just how good he is at going up and getting contested catches. Now, let's go ahead and transition it over to his sophomore season. Now, the biggest thing I do want to say about his sophomore season in transition to his 2023 season was a difference in quarterback, right? Sam Hartman was one of the greatest quarterbacks in Wake Forest history, if not the best, right? 63% completion percentage, 3,700 yards, 38 touchdowns, and 12 INTs. Okay. Now, he was also on that team with A.T. Perry. A.T. Perry was a 6th-round draft pick a couple years ago, and now he's in the NFL with the Saints. Recently caught a touchdown pass in the preseason game. So, and he's a little bit productive over there. So A.T. Perry was a solid player for them. Got all conference accolades, etc. And even in that, with that being said, Jahmal Banks was still a All ACC honorable mention as a sophomore in a crowded wide receiver room with one of the top wide receivers in the game, A.T. Perry. Now, A.T. Perry had 72 receptions, 1,096 yards, and 11 touchdowns with a 27% target share, which means A.T. Perry got over a quarter of the team's targets when they had a solid, accurate quarterback. Okay. Now, if we look at Banks's numbers behind A.T. Perry, 42 receptions for 636 yards and 9 touchdowns. Okay, so he was two touchdowns shy, about 400 yards shy, and he did it on 30 less receptions. Okay, so that leads me forward into kind of breaking down what those numbers meant in the sophomore season. So, and he played the best game in the toughest game of his career against the toughest opponent. When he faced Clemson, or when they faced Clemson and upset Clemson, he had 6 catches for 141 yards and 2 touchdowns. Clemson was number 5 in the country at that time. Now, talking about his ability to go up and get, balls, he had the highest contested catch rate of anyone in the conference at 58.6%. That ranked 5th amongst all Power 5 wide receivers. He was 15 for 23. in contested catches as a sophomore. Okay. Let that sink in. He was 11th against man coverage in all of college football. He was 5th in red zone catch percentage in all of college football as a sophomore. Okay. That should inspire a lot of confidence in him and see what he needs to do to transition forward. Now we scroll forward to 2023, okay? Now 2023 we saw, 59 receptions and 653 yards from him. Compared that to his sophomore season where, he was near 636 yards, 9 touchdowns, 42 receptions. So, went up in receptions, 653 yards versus 636 went up in that. 2023, he finished 5th in the ACC in receptions per game at 4.92. So averaged almost 5 catches per game. He was 20th against man coverage in 2023. Now, all that being said, he also had Mitch Griffiths as his quarterback. Okay. And I've talked about this before about how I feel about why he didn't do well there. And a lot of it was due to his quarterback play. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at Mitch Griffiths here on PFF, right? So he was rated 282 out of 305 qualified quarterbacks in his offensive grade. Pass grade, 248th out of 271, right? And you can see here, just, wasn't very good. 2022, that was when Sam Hartman was there, so limited time. And then 2023 finally starts and just has an abysmal season. But Banks still put up better numbers than he did the previous year. And I just imagine what he would have been able to do if Sam Hartman was there another season, right? So, Jahmal Banks last year, that's kind of what we look at, right? When we're kind of breaking down these players, we look at the previous season, but we necessarily don't go into the deep dive of it, right? So even with that being said, so Mitch Griffiths came out week 1 he was 19 for 30 with 329 yards against Elon. And Elon, whatever that school is, not Elon Musk, whatever, I don't know where Elon is, but he had his best game against Elon. And then from there, the rest of the way, 1,500 yards, 9 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions for Mitch Griffiths. Absolutely horrendous, right? But yet, Jahmal Banks was still able to come out with the fifth in ACC in receptions per game, 59 receptions for 53 yards, and 20th against man coverage, right? And throwing it back to when he was in the sophomore season, all conference, all ACC, that year they had players like Josh Downs, Zay Flowers, and like I said, A.T. Perry, and many more. That was a stacked wide receiver class in the ACC that year. Now, let's go ahead and move forward to some of the advanced analytics that I like to look at that are indicators of production, right? And I'm a big analytics guy. I like X's and O's. I like breaking down the football. I like looking at the advanced numbers and seeing how those translate to the field, right? And when looking at advanced numbers, now my first podcast I ever had was a fantasy football podcast, right? So I got real familiar with advanced analytics and predicting success based on those. and what I found, the biggest indicators of success that I found in a wide receiver is targets, right? Target. So to be specific, target share, target rate, which I said target share for A.T. Perry was 27%, right? Target rate, and the biggest one is catchable target rate. And that's where the quarterback comes into play, right? Because I looked at Nico Collins before he broke out for the Texans. When Davis Mills was a quarterback, I looked at Nico Collins' catchable target rate and target accuracy. Both were 99th in the NFL, right? And he still had 400, 500 yards on a terrible Texans team, right? So I said he would break out the next season. Lo and behold, now he is a top 25 receiver in the NFL, right? So these things are tried and true reasons why they allude to success, especially, of course, target share or target rate. Now, another one is air yards and average depth of target, right? These two kind of play a little bit hand in hand, but not fully. So his average depth of target in 2022 was 16 yards, okay, which is very high. 15 passes of 20 or more yards for 449 yards and 4 touchdowns. That was his numbers. Okay. That were his numbers. Air yards, target share, target rate, catchable target rate, average depth of target. All of those numbers are going to improve, right? And not only that, looking at, who he has at quarterback, right? So that catchable target rate is going to improve. The target share and target rate are probably going to improve just in the higher profile offense and offense that wants to pass more. Wake Forest offense is not indicative of good passing numbers, as we can see with Mitch Griffiths at quarterback. It was not good in 2023. So those are the most indicative indicators of success, and those are the ones that I wanted to really point to because he does excel in all of the advanced analytics, and that is why we can point to a quarterback. I know it's not as simple as always saying, we can point to a quarterback and say, you know, this is why Banks was bad, but we don't know for sure, right? But this is where the answers lie. The answers lie in the advanced analytics. And even though it's not a 100% success rate, right? These are the numbers. These are what we have to look at, right? And these are the numbers available to us that show us the percentage chance that he will be much more improved. Now, what can we expect for him this season in 2024? Okay. So, his attributes, tremendous ball skills, right? He's a sure handed guy. He had 0 drops with a terrible quarterback last year. The highest PFF drop grade, 93.1, I believe it was. I can't quite remember. Now, let's go ahead and look at Jahmal Banks's numbers over the last few years, okay? So 87th out of 1,023 wide receivers last year, 78.6 receiving grade, 85th out of 968. And as you can see there, 77.8 PFF grade in 2022, 77.5 in 2023. Okay, let's think about that for a second because, he barely decreased with a much worse quarterback, which means his skill set probably got better. He refined his skill set and probably improved. And we can expect more of that this year. So again, sure-handed possession receiver who's going to, be able to even get you a little bit of deep routes. He has good football speed, like a 4.5 40, I believe, somewhere around that range. Could stand to use improvement on his route running, but he's a bigger body guy. With those guys, it's a little bit harder to really break down and get choppy with your feet and really able to maintain your balance and stuff like that. There's a give and a take with the taller, bodied receivers and the bigger body receivers. But what he does well is when he's on his route, this is why he's also good against man's coverage, is he knows how to use his physicality to his advantage, right? And as we know, this culture is all about physicality that they have right now in Nebraska. He had a single digit number in 8 months. He already has a single digit number that's voted on by the players. Shows his work ethic and his leadership. Okay. Now, like I said, the route running needs a little bit of work, but this is a staff of development. And I don't think the route running is going to hinder him too terribly much, but I do think his route running is going to be improved. Now, Dylan, of course, has the ability to throw guys open, which he didn't have before. But, you know, he's going to be able to go up over any defensive back that lacks ball skills or size or physicality. He is going to beat them in all 3 areas unless they really excel in that. So he is a guy that we can constantly check to in third downs, right? And another thing that's indicative of future success that we need to watch throughout the season is actually target rate on first down as well. Um, Target rate on third down is usually your possession guy, Keenan Allen. Think Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen, I think, has a 33 or a couple years ago, a 33% target share on third down. Okay. And that is another indicator of success. That means you are probably the guy that is going to get the majority of the targets. And that's what's going to happen. Jahmal Banks is going to get the majority of the targets. He's going to open up other people, but he's still going to be a big focus of this offense. Okay. Like I said, good but not great speed, decent run blocker, but just a target monster, target hog, a ball skill nightmare, a matchup nightmare. He's great against man coverage. He is a guy who knows how to use his body, knows how to use his physicality to his advantage. And I expect him to be a top 15 wide receiver in college football, potentially top 10. Okay. That is, of course, seeing how this offense flows. But regardless, I think he will ultimately end up over 1,000 yards, double digit touchdowns, somewhere in the range of 70, 75 receptions, if not less. But I would say it's really hard to see how this offense is going to flow, but it's going to be a pretty good balanced offense, but it's going to slightly lean pass, of course. So, you know, he has the ability to put up a season like that, has the ability to go up and put up 70 plus, you know, receptions, over 1,000 yards, 10 to 12 to 15 touchdowns, even. He is going to be a nightmare, the first guy to look to on third downs, the first guy to look to in the red zone. And then when you have such a talented receiver core now that we have, you have a big tight end like Fedoni, who's going to be in there. Carter Nelson, athletic freak, big guy, knows how to use his body, when it comes to the wide receiver position. And because Carter Nelson's going to be used at wide receiver, not tight end for the time being until he rounds out the wide receiver position. So we could expect a big, big year for Jahmal Banks. And I hope this video helped you and helped shine some light on some reasons for optimism outside of us just saying, he had a bad quarterback last year, better quarterback this year. He should improve. These should help you have a legitimate argument as to why he will be the leading receiver on this team and one of the better receivers in college football. So, but that'll do it for me here. Again, if you like what I'm doing here, please drop a like, leave a comment, and let me know what you think of the video. Last thing, Anthony Grant will be on this Tuesday. So Anthony Grant will be coming on this Tuesday to join me on the live stream at 6 p.m. Central. So y'all stop by, join the conversation, and we'll talk some UTEP football on Tuesday. So that being said, I will see you in the next video.